You're right. Okay, I'm Kit.
And I'm Cade.
And we're real people.
Doing real reviews.
And we're reviewing...
I Saw the TV Glow.
Yep. That's what we're going to... As real people, we're going to review this, which is going to be a bit of a struggle because they decided to do it as Sundance as possible. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is a Sundance movie. This is how creative can we get? Can we do enough innuendos and enough nods to, odes to, enough things that it will land somewhere for somebody?
I think I'm a pretty smart person, but kind of questioning on this movie.
We either think it was so deep and so captivating and creative that they're genius, or it was just stupid.
Yes.
So that's the line we're going to walk on today's reveal and our continuation of the top 13 horror movies, which, interesting that this landed inside the horror movie top 13. Maybe they need reviewers. I don't know. This is not horror. This is a sci-fi thriller, maybe.
Do you think they slept through it?
I think maybe they were like, I think people like this, and we know one of the producers is Emma Stone, so we'll just put it there.
Okay.
I think maybe, is that... listen, that might be harsh, but we just sat through it.
Yeah.
We spent time on our Sunday. It's your Thursday, so we're going to talk about it. If we are going on the side of genius, let's talk about it from that side first.
Okay.
Let's talk about what's being communicated through the storyline. So the storyline is of a young man going through adolescence into adulthood. That's the timeline in which we're following in this film. As he's kind of starting out the timeline of this film, he meets a very bizarre kind of emo girl that's a few years his senior. This emo girl brings him into her favorite TV series that plays too late for him to watch because he's younger by 2 years. And so since he is younger, she starts recording them and giving them to him so he could be a part of, watching this really great show that she loves this show. Then she disappears, then reappears 10 years later and says that maybe he was a part of the TV show with her all the way along.
And then it pans to other...
Yeah, so I'm just like in a nutshell.
Yeah.
In a nutshell,
that's the movie. And scene.
Okay, that's sleep. Okay, so where we thought it was interesting is that should this be coming from a perspective of somebody who has always wanted to be a part of TV and film? So maybe they're an aspiring filmmaker, an aspiring producer, and they never got to make it. And so they were feeling like they were living a false life, that they created these two characters that felt more attached to characters in TV than their actual life. And their actual life actually felt like pretend land because they felt so attached to creating story and creating dialogue and creating film that they actually are made up of bits of TV. And that's like literally their insides. Like if you were to cut me open, there'd be a TV inside me like that. But that they wanted to create in the way that they wanted to, but because of life circumstances, they just worked at a theater and then worked out like a kid's fun zone until they died. And that they always lived with their dream inside them to be a creator. Now,
see, sounds smart.
Right?
Sounds very smart.
So when they were like, I'm going to make this movie, I'm going to tell this part of my story.
Yeah.
So they break the third wall a lot. So the narrator, like the main character, talks to the audience in parts that you're like, this could have been an inside thought and created better cinema, but they're going to talk to us because they want us to feel like we're a part of the TV too. Look at that. So the way that it's depicted is that the main character is dying inside and screaming for help and screaming for family attention and wanting to be like, hey, I'm not being seen. I have a creative point of view. I have a perspective. I have a way that I see the world, and nobody cares. Nobody pays attention. And so he feels like he's dying inside. So that could be one of the messages. One of the other messages that we looked at was with LGBTQ.
Oh, yes. Yeah, it has kind of hints as kind of growing up. He's like toying with, or like the main character in the TV series is a girl
Mhm.
and he's clearly a boy.
Mhm.
And there's very kind of language,
Mhm.
kind of the whole movie that is like very gender roles throughout. So maybe that's something in there that, you know, he couldn't be who he wanted to be because of outside forces. Um,
with
so
with his gender.
yeah,
And then there's like little clips where he tries on a dress. And then the way that he views the women in this character like TV series that he like would love to be is that they're strong and they're powerful and they're living their lives the way that they want to and he's not getting to.
right.
There's another scene where he's sitting on the bleachers with the other female lead character who's also a part of this TV show that kind of, coming of age story. And she's like, "Listen, I like girls. Do you like girls?" And he's like, "I don't, I'm a,"
TV.
and then, yeah, and then he's like, they're like, "Do you like boys?" And he's like, "Every time I try to like look inward there, I don't feel anything, but I like TV shows."
Yeah.
And she's like acting like she gets that. Like, okay, I get it. And so when you're watching it, you're like, well, maybe he's asexual. Like, maybe this is one of those common coming of age things where people are like, you either like this or like this. And he's like, I don't actually have that type of feeling. And I feel like if I look deep down into the darkness of myself, I'm too nervous to like uncover that. So I'm just not going to do anything. And then shortly after, they'll show a scene where he's in a dress. So you're like, okay, well, maybe that's where some of the confusion is that he's not sure how he identifies. So he's not sure what he likes on the outside, right? Or he's not sure what roles that falls into. So there's confusion.
Again, very smart.
That's the genius version. The other version is he's just like being nice to this girl who's kind of bizarre who shares this TV series because he has trouble making friends. So she's like, we should wear a dress like the girl on the TV show. And he's like, okay, that's weird. But he doesn't, you know? So,
Yeah.
it could go either way. So this is why, as real people watching this, we're like, okay, let's creatively get there so we can have something to communicate. But if you're looking at it as like a regular audience that would have spent,
Yeah, I mean, I think she's doing a great job now because I'm like, what did we just watch?
yeah,
Um,
we took him, So it finished and we were like,
yeah.
well, what's one of the other themes that you felt like was communicated wherein, like within? Because we talked a little bit about family trauma
Yeah,
and
family trauma,
family abuse.
the dynamic there.
Mhm.
The mom had cancer or something, so she passed away. So maybe dealing with
How do you deal with the loss of a parent?
loss of a parent. Yeah.
And then shortly after, he dealt with the loss of the father figure who's quite gruff and unlikable. The lead female character, that's the 2 years older, that's kind of moving ahead, just straight up talks about that she's physically abused. She's like, don't let my stepdad see you because he'll break my nose again. Like, she's just very frank about these kind of coming of age topics, which I did think that if you were to look at it from a coming of age standpoint, there were so many scenes that are kind of nostalgic to like, yeah, I can remember times where I did a sleepover and it was kind of bizarre and I didn't quite feel safe. Not that anything happened, but you're just like the environment just didn't feel safe. Or that you slept somewhere like on the floor in a sleeping bag next to like a fish tank, but there's no fish in it. But it's just like plugged in and there feels like a fish tank.
The glow.
And you're like, well, I guess this is my nightlight tonight on the floor. Kind of strange.
Do you think we were too old to watch the movie?
Well, there's a lot of the references were in the 90s, so it'd be nostalgic to our age demographic. So you think it'd be made for us. Also, the producers are the same age as us, so I don't think so.
Okay. Well, still lost. Still
Mm.
lost on what I watched.
So
Yeah.
I did think that they did a good job of like showcasing what it felt like in some of those very awkward coming of age moments. And then later, he goes to watch the TV series because now it's streaming and it's not just on these VHSs and it's this special thing that he's doing in high school. And he's rewatching it and he's like, it's cheesy and it's stupid and it's not at all scary. It's not the way that I remember it. Because of course, when you're young, your imagination is so alive. Now he's watching something and he's embarrassed. And so going back to like that filmmaker who's like, I never got to be a filmmaker, meaning like he's watching things on TV that he could have brought so much more alive. And now he's watching what's actually out there and it doesn't land and it's stupid. And he's frustrated because, or she is frustrated because she wanted to see actual things come forward. Oh, maybe that's why it's horror because it's a creature feature. Do you think?
I don't know. Also, actually, now that I think about the bar scene where they're singing, very creepy.
That was, and she's very like a lunatic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
So there's a scene where she's disappeared. Everything, she died. She's gone. 10 years later, she comes back. A decade later, she's like, I can talk to you, but on the edge of town in this special place, and it's like a very strange, dingy bar where there's
it's like a heavy metal dive bar.
yeah, and there's like drag, and there's also just like some goth, and there's like just very bizarre outfits that are being seen in the background. And she's talking about like, do you ever feel like the reality and like when we used to watch this show that it's confusing, like you don't know what's real and what isn't real. And she seems absolutely nuts. Like the acting, you're like, and he's like, you should tell your mom you're alive. Like, are you okay? Like, you should tell the police. You should. And he's like, the whole time he's like, I gotta get out of here. And she's like, we're gonna meet tomorrow at the gym, and I'm gonna bury you basically on the edge of the football field after. And he's like, no,
Get back. Yeah.
this is nuts. And then he leaves.
But that's why the I saw the TV glows is in the song that she sings.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of in that middle part, but very odd.
Abstract. And the thing that I could say that the producers and director did well is that you do feel like there are things that make your chest tight. It's eerie. It doesn't feel safe. Something's going to happen, but then not enough happens that you're like, oh, and there's like a relief of like, oh gosh, like, yeah, and then they die or something like that. You're like, oh, and then on to the next scene that's also like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So then the whole time you're kind of like needing Botox after because your forehead's all like, you know what I mean? Like,
What? As you can probably see, I'm just kind of trying to look off into the distance, trying to. What did we just watch? But yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
as film reviewers, when we're put in scenarios like this where we're watching a film that's not like where it has a storyline that makes sense but it's maybe a bit hollow and you feel like it could have been more fun or action-packed or interesting or gory, and we'll kind of give those reviews. When a film is leaving us open to interpretation, then from a point of view of somebody who's looking to maybe be entertained, it falls very, very flat. You don't feel entertained. You feel like, oh, I wish I watched a different movie. But if you're coming from the aspect of like, I want to see what they're trying to say as storytellers, you can pull things out of here, which is why we kind of are landing in like it could be unbelievably deep and quite genius. And actually, this filmmaker is very much sharing their soul with us. And we're really getting to know the depth of how important it is to be authentic and be yourself and chase your dreams and go for things because life is so very short, and don't let the world's perception suffocate you.
Yeah.
Or it could have just been like they had a budget and so they thought they'd make a movie.
I hope it's the first one.
I do too. Nice little shout out to LG, who definitely made a big old standpoint at there's a full scene of just the LG box of a TV.
Yes.
And goes alongside of like, and now I have a family and I love them very much. Also seems kind of flat, and you're like, do you? And I would say that the acting, very great acting for such an abstract story, especially the young actor, the young boy. My God,
even girl.
Yeah, both of them very like they have to deadpan a lot of what they're doing because they seem kind of psychotic, right? They're exploring the fact that they maybe don't have feelings outside of a TV show. And so it's difficult acting and quite believable in the way that they did it. So I'll give it to that. If I were to give it a rating out of 10, I'm going to go there.
Okay, she's ready. She's like, let's just rate her.
It's a 2.
Oh, a 2 for you.
It's a 2 for me. I'll say why.
Okay.
I did feel like even though this was so bizarre, that the acting was good. Like I liked the acting inside of this story. And then I would say that that's what I'll say.
That's all you're going to say. From my standpoint, I would say I agree. The acting was good. Feels very deep. I'm just going to say it's deep because if not, I was lost. So
do you think that's what lots of real people do? They're like, oh, I understand the message. But really they're like, I don't get it.
I don't get it. Yeah. I don't know.
You know, I took my family to go see Les Mis when it came out, and I was like, and I was crying. I just was so moved by the story. And my family left, and there was 8 of them, and they were like, I didn't get that. They just sing. I didn't know Russell Crowe could sing. I guess they wanted to go to another movie after, and I was like, it was amazing. So moved. So no. Anyways,
Kind of that.
sometimes we don't match. That's okay.
Fair. I will give it a. I'll be kind this time. 2.5.
Oh my gosh, you went
Look at
better
that.
than me. Why the extra 0.5? Set dressing? Set dressing. was
Yeah,
0.5.
I would say actually for the movie, like it had very interesting sets and a lot of them.
Yeah, that's true. Also thought interesting play on the father character being kind of menacing with nothing happening.
Yeah.
I was like, that was done with music and timing. That's quite difficult, actually.
And the lighting was good too.
Mm-hmm.
Which is also, yeah, it was just very dark. Very, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you have nothing else to do, or you're feeling like you want to be creative, or
you maybe are feeling that way. You are a creative that's working kind of a 9 to 5, and you're feeling so disjointed from the real world that, cinema feels more real.
that's what I'm going to take from it.
That this is the movie for you.
Like,
Mhm.
yeah, we do things we don't like, and then that becomes our reality, and we kind of give up on those kind of childhood dreams. So yeah, maybe this is just saying, hey, don't do that.
Because it's killing you
It's killing you inside.
on the inside.
Oh, look at that. We found a message.
I'm Kit.
I'm Cade,
We're real people,
doing real reviews.
and you can always sit with us.
Bye.